Well, hello, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful evening, middle of the night. I know it's ridiculous o'clock in Europe right now and pretty late on the East Coast too, but so what? We're having a late night hangout, okay? It's been a long week for me, so I've needed to have a bit of time to recoup. Is recuperate a word? Recuperate? Recoup? I know recoup is. Doesn't matter. We've invented it for the purpose of this chat. So tonight we are going to be talking a bit about Ukraine because I know that's something that my friend Counterpoints and I have some contention on. And what's better than a good debate night on the live streams, am I right? Then I want to chat a bit about gender wars. I, for the first time in ages, decided I really need to get some work done. I've been away for a week. I did a Daily Wire show. I did the Tim Pool show, and then I was at a conference in Texas, the Better Discourse event. Got home, obviously spending family time, and I was like, damn, I really need to catch up on work stuff. So I took one of my little, what is it? I think it's like Vyvanse is the one that they put me on so I could get some work done. And it just made me mental on Twitter. If you don't know how ADHD medication works, you can take it. And if you focus on the task that you're supposed to do, like say you can never get your taxes done because you've got really bad attention deficit, well, you take it and you pick up your taxes. But if you pick up anything else, you're done for. You're screwed. Like, you'll doodle for like 5 hours if that's what you start doing. So I started tweeting and I just went on a wild tweet rant. My timeline literally looks like I'm a feminist right now, but we'll get into it, okay? Yeah, so I went on a wild tweet rant about right-wing optics with women and mothers in politics, and I really want to talk about that. I'm not a feminist. I'm not a feminist, but we've got some dumb takes that we should go over on the gender wars stuff. And then what was the other one I put in there? Yeah, I want to talk about Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, some of my predictions for the future of Twitter, and all of that good stuff. All right. Before I get it, recuperate is a word. Yes. Thank you, Rocky Desert Flower. I knew it. 200 IQ here. Okay. Let's get counterpoints in here before I give my hot take. I've been processing a lot of the information on Ukraine lately. So before I jump into that, we'll get counterpoints in here so he can respond when I start to just take his entire ideology apart. If you don't know Counterpoints, he is a friend of mine who is an ex-police officer. He does some streaming, a bit of a mix of stuff, politics, and then also Warhammer. I don't know if you know Warhammer. It's like kind of the Dungeons and Dragons kind of genre of games, but with painting. You paint little action figures. It's an interesting contrast to me that you'd have someone that's like a police officer, you know, really, really in the field, but also like their fantasy world stuff. I'm going to be tired. I'm a bit tired and a bit sick. Forgive me, but we're still gonna be high energy tonight, okay? Connor, I can't hear a word you're saying, and it's your fault. Wavy Crockett says, Lauren has gone full libtard, thinking women should have equal rights. Just insanity. I'm gonna take that as a joke. Here's my, okay, while we're waiting for Connor to figure out whatever he's doing. Anyone who is a pick-me in any category, like if you are a guy going out here, putting on your little pussy hat, telling people, I believe all women, even if they accuse me of rape, I believe them because I am an ally. Like, that's cringe. You know, have some self-respect. You're a man. You should be okay with being a man. Like, you're not toxic for being born a male. You're not disgusting. It's just what you were born with. Like, have some self-respect, right? And if you're a woman, don't sit here on, the worst are the ones that go on like twitter.com and they're sitting about how women or going on about women should have no voices in politics. They should be in the kitchen, like chained to their, I don't know, table all day, repeal the 19th. And I'm like, okay, well, you could help by, logging off yourself. Log off. Go back to the kitchen. Like you said, women shouldn't have an opinion on politics. So don't. Quit it. I just find any pick... Louis! I'm sorry, you're right. I do need to reply to the chat. I can't believe you've come all the way to my live stream to tell me to stop dogging you. Sorry, I just saw a mate of mine in the chat. But yeah, no, if you are sitting there like constantly going off about how disgusting you are because of something you were born with that you have no control over, like, do you really think the girl who went around putting up "it's okay to be white" stickers in her city, I think I like just missed the cusp of getting hate crime charges for that in Canada. Do you think that girl is really gonna sit around and be okay with someone hating another aspect of her that's inherent she has no control over? No, of course not. If you think that I can't talk to you or we can't hang out or, you know, I'm lesser than because I'm white or because I'm a woman, then I'm gonna be like, okay, no worries, see ya. Cringe. You can go have some self-hatred over in your corner of the internet, right? Oh. Bored at work. Thought I'd stop in. Well, welcome, Joseph. Good to see you. Troll with a purpose. Oh, okay, wait. Lucifer the Doberman has super chatted and said, anyone who doesn't live on the West Coast and doesn't think you should grow your own food does not have a valid opinion. Is the chat having an entirely different conversation from what I was just ranting about? Growing your own food is a good idea, by the way. Absolutely. Man, I'm getting ditched by Counterpoints here. Horrendous. Okay, also, okay. Here's another thing. Let's quickly chat about like the alt-right. I don't think the alt-right really exists anymore. I'll be honest. I mean, half of it, yeah, was because of media stuff, and then the other half of it was just like purity spiraling, which happens in most radical political movements. But there was like a whole thing. What was it? They had a name for it where they tried to kick all the women out of the alt-right. They're like, you know, women are too much drama. Women are too much drama. They're causing too many problems in the alt-right. Women shouldn't be in politics. And then, you know, a lot of women were like, oh, okay, well, you know what? We'll go hang out with everyday normal conservatives. Cool. Evropa and the white race hasn't been saved. You kicked out women and you still spiraled into nothingness. And if you go and you look in some of these circles that are like hardcore, like drama, I know you guys hate the way I say drama, but like just talking about how much they hate women all the time, all they do is have drama. It's all just drama YouTubing now. You go to any of the remaining, like, I don't want to call it manosphere because saying that is like saying Voldemort. They're like appear in your house and start stalking you. But it's all drama. They're all the most like drama-inducing people ever. All right. Lucifer the Doberman says, can my family grow food and troll you at the same time? If you are going to donate while trolling me, I'm happy for whatever comments you want to throw in here. Archeon, I'm high on edibles while I watch. I'm sure this is a bit of a trip. Oh, we got Counterpoints here.
Horseman for an interview.
Oh, hello. I just answered. You there?
Hi, Lauren.
Yes, you're live, by the way, in case you're about to drop some spicy memes. Uh-oh.
Gonna have using the F slur.
Uh-oh. Why does your camera looks weird? It's like very zoomed in.
I can turn on the light, which would make it better, but my fucking eyeballs hurt, dude. I've been streaming for like 7 hours. Oh, it fucking hurts.
Don't you have a kid? I always talk to people who stream like, you know, I guess regular Twitch streamers, they stream for like all day, 10 hours or something. And I don't, how do you have time for that? I do 2 hours once a week. That's what I do. If that.
Yeah, I don't. I talked to Booksmarts earlier today. So basically, I went to my wife's best friend's wedding this past week, and we spent more money than we should have, and traveled out of state. And I watched the kid the entire time while she was, you know, getting drunk and partying with her friend, and this, that, the other. And basically, I said, so I only had like a week and a half of vacation from my wage cage because I'm still in the wage cage, and basically I was like, on Thursday, pretend I don't exist. and that's what happens.
And
So
I'm
I
gonna
talked
sit
to
in my room and talk to my internet friends and play Warhammer.
yeah. Oh my God, yes. Heaven. This isn't a job like it is a job to me because, obviously we're starting to make a little bit of money off of it, but it's also not a job to me because I actually enjoy this. Like I enjoy doing it. So, yeah.
That's good.
But I talked to Booksmarts this afternoon. I talked to Mr. Girl wrapping up like 10, 15 minutes ago, and now I'm talking to you. So, it's been a pretty good day.
So I'm trying to, we're having a boomer moment, my friends. I'm trying to set him up. He's got video. I'll get him on video here. Don't you all worry. Oh, dear.
I wouldn't mind having a face to talk to as well. I don't know if you have the split cam thing or if you can do it. If you can't do it, don't worry about it. But it always feels weird being on video myself and not.
I'll try. Okay.
Yeah.
You're asking a lot here. You're asking a lot from an internet boomer. I always have to be super sure to, that. Okay, so in OBS in the background, guys, it's got, when you set up your windows, there's an option that says window match priority. So that means like if Counterpoints randomly hung up on me, what does it want me to do? And the automatic selection for it is find another window. So if you have anything open on your computer, like financial information, messages you don't want people to see, bam, it could just jump to that window. So you always have to be very careful and go, okay, window must match title, which I'm selecting as we speak and putting your face
Or
there.
You can just be like not, nefarious, and then you can just show all your bullshit
is not
to
wanting
everybody.
to dox your house nefarious?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it?
Okay.
Is it?
Hey, I wanted to ask you something.
Is it a house or is it a compound? What is it?
True. Yeah, it's my anti-immigrant compound I've built here in Canada. I wanted to ask you something. Since you do police stuff, there's been a lot of streamers getting swatted lately. Like I just saw Rakita Law got swatted or whatever. Have you ever done a SWAT as a cop?
Yep.
Okay, what's the protocol on your end? Because I see a lot of the other end. Like I've been on Tim Pool's show twice when it was swatted. But like, what's it like on? Have you ever swatted someone and had it been like a joke, like not a serious SWAT?
No, but I've gone to calls that ended up being false alarms. But so I know I'll explain this a little bit. So SWAT is short for Special Weapons and Tactics, and normally it's the higher body armor tactical guys who like break in doors and stuff. So they're typically relegated to the higher priority calls where like literally like hostage situations or drug raids and all that kind of stuff. And so when you say like, have you been on a SWAT raid? The answer is yes. I did perimeter work for some SWAT raids in my city for drug raids. And it was pretty cool stuff. But swatted, the internet term, means basically calling law enforcement on somebody and pretending that there's a dangerous situation in the hopes that you can get that person in trouble, maybe arrested, maybe detained, maybe maybe they find some legal shit or whatever. All to harass a person online. It is like severely illegal, and if possible, you could trace that back and basically fuck that person over pretty hard. But what was your specific concern, I guess, in reference to calling law enforcement incorrectly on other people?
Oh, I was just about to swat you, so I guess I'll hang up. So no, I honestly can't remember. How did your Mr. Girl conversation go before we jump into Ukraine?
Well, it's great. Well, actually, just to finish up the SWAT thing, then,
yeah.
From my perspective, I would recommend Tim because it's already happened several times. Like, if I don't know how friendly you guys, if you're in DMs or if you're DMs with his producer or something like that.
We're DMing all day. We're DMing right now as we speak.
Okay, excellent. Then tell him I say hi, and the Civil War is not happening tomorrow. And also tell him that he can call the local jurisdiction. So I would call the city and call the county and say, hey, we've had multiple raids at this point. Here's an information report in reference to my address. I want this to be basically flagged in the system as having had these calls in the past with priority notes and capitalization. There's typically, they're going to have a software program that pulls up prior calls to the address. And if they put in the notes, they can see the notes. So if they get like a call like, oh, somebody's being held hostage or somebody has a gun or this, that, the other, they can see the previous calls to the address. And if they put in the call notes like, hey, this place has been swatted before, they should be able to deprioritize the call and then just they'll still send officers out because from a liability perspective they have to, but they can be a lot more tactful and they can be like, hey, did you get swatted again? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think that's always been their big concern whenever they've talked about it is like, oh, okay, we let the police know we're internet figures, and we get swatted by crazy people that just disagree with our politics, and then they stop coming, and then some actual psycho with a gun takes advantage of that. They do a few swats the week before so that the police are less serious about it the last time, and then next time the police get called because it's like, holy shit, someone is in our house with a gun trying to kill us. The police are like, oh, here we go again, take their sweet time. Right. That's always the concern.
Well, then
yes,
I
we're talking
would
about
also...
Tim Pool. So sorry, someone in the chat asked.
You can list personal information as well. So for instance, like my name, like residence name, this name, residence cell, this cell, and then basically you can go so far this is what I would say. I don't know what community Tim lives in, but the community that I was working in was small enough that if I had this incident repeating, there's only 20 officers who work this zone. So you could literally give out the cell to the shift commander, like the person who's in charge of like the 10-person shift for the night shift or the day shift.
I think they've got all that sorted. Like I know they've got all that sorted on the logistical level.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair. Then that would just be my recommendation to decrease the chances that people are going to get shot basically incorrectly. Then, how did my Mr. Girl conversation go? It went well. He outed me as a homophobe and, he knew what I was going to say before I said it. That was nice.
If anyone was here for my last, I'm just going to remind chat because I did have him on. Last stream I wasn't here because I was on Tim Pool. Then the one before that was Kian. And then the one before that was Mr. Girl. And you'll probably remember if you were there, a lot of him saying, Lauren, I know you feel/think this. So a lot of emotional assumptions you felt?
But he wanted me to say, hey, Lauren, I know what you were thinking about me today. And I just want to say thank you. So he did say that. But
bro, what is wrong?
Yeah.
No, I'm not joking. I actually was having a thought today. That's actually really scary. I was like, you know what? Mr. Girl makes some pretty talented, interesting videos. I was thinking about it today. That's really upsetting. That's very disturbing. Yeah. What did he do?
And he knew that, and he said that, and he said to say that. So I did. Mm-hmm.
Very concerning. Very concerning.
You can check my VOD. It's probably at like the 80% mark. He's like, or like 90% mark. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go talk to Lauren in a minute. I gotta go this, that, the other. And he's like, oh, okay, well, tell her that I was, I know she was thinking about me, and thank you.
But like that was like a really random, like, I don't know why it came up in my head. Okay, no, now it sounds like I'm thinking about Mr. Girl all the time.
Okay, I know I'm kind of playing into it a little bit too and acting like it was really confident and psychic, but I'm pretty sure it was a shitpost joke, okay? I'm pretty sure it was a shitpost.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he's actually
because he was
psychic.
wrong. I think he's a very interesting person. I even though my chat absolutely hate it, I know, guys. But I find it very interesting talking to him. But I don't trust him. That's the thing that he's wrong about. I don't trust him. I don't trust very many people on the internet. I don't know them well enough. You can't.
Which is fair. But the what was I thinking? Am I on your screen, by the way, video wise?
You are. I can't, dude. Okay.
It's fine.
I'm gonna click start virtual camera, and we'll see how this goes. Let's see.
You don't have to destroy. You don't have to destroy it. David Shitrat, that's your full name. Ask Lauren why she won't go on video. Because she's a fucking boomer. Sorry, Miss Southern, for swearing. It's because she's a boomer.
That is a very old meme. The guy's name that he's using.
Yeah, so
like, you would have to know me from 7 years ago on YouTube to understand that reference.
To understand David Shitrat?
Yeah.
You have deep lore with the name David Shitrat?
You know what? We're not going to get into it today. We'll get into Ukraine first.
Okay, everybody start Googling David Shitrat right now. All right, anyways.
Deep lore there.
Yeah, so anyways, sorry, just wrapping up the Mr. Girl thing. No, so it was fun, and he's an interesting character, and I did resent like the projections of like, I know what you're gonna say before you say it kind of shit. It's like, okay, well then you say it, motherfucker. Like, what, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I would like the opportunity to say what I think. So that's a little frustrating, but at the same time, I felt like I was pretty candid in the conversation. So as a result, he was able to take his defenses down. So ultimately, we were able to just have a conversation. So it was good.
Cool. YouTuber counseling. All right, so you're super wrong about your takes on Ukraine that we've had in DMs. Do you mind me talking a bit about our DM takes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, I'm going to explain this hot take that I've put in the title of this video that I have. Okay, guys, if you're super chatting, I'll take a break between conversations to answer your super chats. So don't worry, I just don't want to break up thought processes. Okay, so I've been thinking about this a lot, about especially the Western response to Ukraine, why it's been bothering me so much. Because it's like, okay, there's a country being invaded, Lauren. Why is it bothering you when you see people putting flags in their bios? Why does it bother you so much when you see Justin Trudeau tweeting about 7,000 meetings he's having to help emotionally support Ukraine or whatever? Part of it is absolutely because they're not actually doing anything. And then the other part, it's not because I'm like, oh, I love Putin. That's what people assume it is. They're like, you have issues with some of the support for Ukraine, so you must love Putin. That is not the case. And I finally pinpointed it down to, I feel like there's been a wrestling match set up or a cage fighting match. Let's say two guys bumped each other in the bar and one guy has said, let's go outside and fight, right? Except the guy saying, let's go outside and fight right now, is like Conor McGregor, right? He knows how to fight. He's going to kick ass. And then the guy who's been challenged to the fight is a 7-year-old autistic boy in a wheelchair. And everyone in the bar is like, yes, go this kid. Let's call him Chris. Go Chris, you can do it. We're cheering for like autistic kid in the wheelchair. You're amazing. Go get him. Get outside and fight Conor McGregor. And I'm kind of sitting there in the corner of the bar watching this, and I'm like, hey guys, don't you think we should like kind of talk it out with Conor McGregor and say, hey man, like don't go out and fight him. Even if this guy is an asshole, let's just buy him a beer so that we don't have to watch a kid in a wheelchair get the crap beat out of him. And then if I mention that and I say, hey, like, you know, there's a bit of a difference. Like this is a world superpower with a massive military, and this is like, you know, they just, it's not even comparable, the military capabilities these two have. Kids in a wheelchair, right? Everyone looks at me and they're like, do you not support disabled children? Do you hate disabled children? Are you like, do you literally like, you're a fucking bigot? And I'm like, no, that's not it. I just don't want to watch them get the shit beat out of them because he's going to lose. So we need to find a different approach here, especially because none of the people at the bar are willing to join the fight. They're all sitting there and they're like, oh yeah, but you know, I gave him some boxing gloves. Well, it doesn't matter. He can't use them. It doesn't matter.
All right, we're gonna have to work with your analogy a little bit, but I already know I'm a worse person than you, because if Conor McGregor wanted to fight a 7-year-old autistic kid, I would definitely be cheering that on. So, you know, go kid, you got it. Like, so. All right, so let's pick apart this analogy a little bit. One, I would contend we're not doing nothing. Like, what is it? It's like $1.5 billion in lethal aid over the past, like, I don't know, 45 days. And then I'm sure we could look it up, but the amount of international support, the amount of money, private and public, that's flowing into Ukraine is insane. Then also, we're dealing with a technological asymmetry that I think is really interesting, where I would agree with you maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, when this all first kicked off, that Ukraine didn't stand a chance. And I don't think they stand a chance of winning. I don't think they stand a chance of winning back Donetsk or Luhansk or Mariupol.
Right. So what would have been the
Crimea.
difference if there had been, even though, like, we're not saying Russia's the good guy here. I'm just saying what would have been the difference if they had planned this out knowing full well the West weren't going to support them and said, well, shit, you know, the offer on the table is Luhansk and Donbass go independent and we don't have a war that we're probably going to lose. So what would have been the difference, right? A lot less dead people.
So you're just saying if the West didn't back them, you think they would have just conceded the territory?
I absolutely think that if there weren't all of these morons at the bar saying, do it, you can do it, yeah, go on, like Biden, like all of these Western administrations, I think they would have been like, holy shit, we're alone in this. Our people are gonna die. Our towns are gonna be destroyed. We are gonna get rolled. And for what? For a war we can't win. Like,
well, so I have a question for you. I mean, they kept Kiev and Kyiv despite. Oh, okay, actually, let me ask this question. Let me back up a little bit. Do you think that let's say that Ukraine went in alone and didn't get any like military or diplomatic support, and do you think that Russia would have taken Kiev or Kyiv, and do you think that they would have installed a puppet regime?
Sorry, if what had happened?
If there was zero Western support, if we were just like, yeah, fuck them, it's their problem. Do you think Russians would have taken Kiev, and do you think they would have
I'm not talking about the support necessarily. Like, I think it's like the during negotiations when tensions were high, you know, pushing Ukraine towards NATO kind of stuff. I don't know about that. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. My presupposition or my belief would be that if they had received zero support from Western countries, private or public, then they probably would have gotten rolled. They would have not had the technological or tactical capacity to resist Russia. As a result, Russia probably would have taken the whole thing and installed a puppet regime that was more friendly to its interest.
Despite what Twitter is saying and Reddit, I still think they're getting rolled right now. So I'm not sure. That's why I think I'm confused by the question, because I'm not sure it matters either way. It's just like a matter of time.
Why rolled where and what are the goals? So if you were saying that the goal was to take all of Ukraine, I don't think Russia's going to take all of Ukraine.
I don't think they necessarily want to, but of course I'm not Russia, so
do you think that, like, so back in Iraq there was this like prediction like, oh, they're going to meet us with open arms and they're going to have roses and they're going to think that we're liberators and shit. If that had happened, and if there was like internal Russian propaganda that was showing that, because that's what they told some of the soldiers anyways. Do you okay, let me just tell you my argument instead of trying to lead you down my logic path. So my argument would be that if they had been able to roll, let's say that Zelensky just took off. He was like, fuck it, not worth fighting, I'm out. Then I think that Russia would have rolled Ukraine and turned it into a puppet state, and they would be interested in reconstituting a geographic buffer province between them and Europe, which is pseudo-nonsensical at this point, because I think, like, international competition at this point should be economic and diplomatic, not necessarily kinetic, but they don't believe that, so it doesn't matter. I think that regardless of whether or not you think that, like, the Ukrainians are fucking evil neo-Nazi fucking pieces of shit or whatever, the fact that they had the balls to stay and fight is respectable and admirable, at least from like a martial perspective.
Okay, so that's wait, I want to stop you there. Sorry, I know you're finishing a thought, but that's a thought I've been having a lot. I think there's something really honorable about saying, even though we are going to lose, I'm going to fight. I'm going to make sure that, you know they can't just invade this land without, hurting a bit. We're going to make them hurt, even if we know we're going to lose all of it. 300 style last stand. I don't think that's what's been sold to a lot of the soldiers. I mean, I've been talking to mates of mine that have gone there, they're trying to pull out, they're trying to get out because they're being told by Western propaganda that this is a winning battle, that you're going to go in there, you're going to fight the Russians, it's going to be okay. And it's not. It's not. They're sitting in bushes with AKs getting pummeled.
So this all depends on where, okay? Because the thing about it is, if you're talking about, we're talking about two different ethnic enclaves.
Oh, and then you
I
also have the
wish-
people drafted that had no choice, which is a vast majority. The men just can't leave. So it's not like they're like, I'm going to make sure, to stay and
Wait,
fight
I
for this
thought we
cause. A
wanted
lot of it is
traditional
not.
masculine. Wait. I thought hard times built great men. What is this anti-draft rhetoric I'm hearing?
I'm not saying I'm against the draft. I'm saying that
Why are
some
conservatives?
fights are
No,
there.
sorry, I'm
There's
shitting.
what is
I'm
that
shitting.
quote? Yeah. What is that quote? When you separate your scholars from your warriors,
Yes.
you have a nation
Base.
fought for by idiots and ruled by cowards, right? So
Oh.
you need to have a little
So,
bit of
I
intelligence in
thought
your
I was gonna
political
get
decisions as well as
Sure.
bravery.
Yeah, if I could, rather than picking apart like an individual point, I would like to articulate a view, and then we could kind of pick a lane and pick it apart. So okay, so my view is that Donetsk, Luhansk, and Crimea are foregone conclusions. You're not getting those back. Okay, They're
Right.
just
So
not going.
this is what I mean. What was
So-
the difference between that, that whether the West supported Ukraine or not, whether, well, no, but this was the original offer on the table. Have them be independent, have them not join NATO, all of that. Look, they're gone anyways now. So I'm just saying, wow, a whole lot of people would have not died if whether we like that arrangement or not, had it been made just
Yeah,
in
but
the first place.
there was a bunch of asks that weren't reasonable. For instance, like they had to reduce their army down to like 65,000 or something like that. Why the fuck would you listen to the people who are invading you on what your army is allowed to be?
True, but do you I'd have to go look at the more of the specifics, but
Yeah,
It-
I wasn't in the room
seems
either.
like
If
it
anything, there's a
wasn't-
frustration. There's a frustration for me because I don't know where the talks broke down.
yeah.
If I was in the room and I was like, consulting with, Zelensky or the Ukrainian government, I would say Donetsk, Luhansk, and Crimea are foregone conclusions. You're not going to break through traditional Russian military, no matter how much military aid the West gives you. And if you do break through, you're going to be fighting a counterinsurgency of Russian ethnic nationals who are loyal to Moscow. And you're going to have the Russian army. They're not going to take that sitting down. They're going to regroup and they're going to come back. So for me, you can militarize the border, and there probably will be active fighting for the better part of the next 3 to 5 years until the
Well, they've been
militarized
fighting in
border
Donbass
settles.
for ages, right? So it's like,
Yeah, but you do understand, this is my thing is I wish we could look at a map together, and I kind of want to break one out for chat.
I mean, I can probably bring one up. 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah, so actually, if there's a way for you to either share it with me or maybe I should bring up your
Yeah, bring up my
your
stream and we can look at it together. We can look at maps
Okay.
together. So cute,
Yay!
and autistic.
The final the final autism that I was looking for. This is so great.
Yeah, and
All
I'm
right, so
not,
hold on.
I saw someone in
There's a
chat,
delay in the
super
stream.
chat. They're like, Lauren, you don't have enough knowledge on this topic. Fair enough. I have a lot of questions though that haven't been answered. I have a lot of questions, and it does seem like all of the people with the big knowledge on this, all of the experts out there, right, reporting on this, got a whole heck of a lot wrong, and we're in a damn war right now. So what they were doing wasn't particularly well advised either, I'd like to think. So
Yeah.
map of Ukraine.
I kind of want to paint a broad vision for the audience, and I don't know if this is going to work because it looks like there's a YouTube delay, but I'll still keep it up just in case I can
well,
take a
it'll
look at it.
it'll be like a really simple map that I'm going to bring up. So
Okay,
I'm
so
not gonna move it
the
around
broad
or
vision, this is the question that I've wanted to present to conservatives for a long time, and I think they have to answer this question. So the Western world, the thing that Jordan Peterson was defending, was liberal democratic hegemony in mixed economy capitalism mixed with Judeo-Christian values. Okay, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the West. This has become a hegemonic cultural force that has promoted its values across the world through capitalism, through globalism, through internationalism, through cultural interchange, and through war. This is just true. So the question is whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing. People 5 years ago were arguing that this was a good thing and it was a sign of our greatness. But since, the introduction of the term globo homo, a globalist pro-LGBTQ, anti-nationalist, anti-monoculture monster has been ascribed to this like hegemonic project. Nationalists are now saying that no, actually, America and the Western hegemon is evil, and it's forcing its values and economic systems on other countries, and we're the bad guys and we're the imperialists. This is something that I've seen in the Groypers. This is something that I've seen in the Christian nationalists. This is something that I've seen in the ethno-nationalists in particular, because they view the international liberal hegemonic project as part of what enables globalism in the first place. So you kind of have to pick your dividing line. Is it a good thing that we're a Western Roman-style imperium? Or should we kind of like focus our culture more locally and give up this imperial project because the imperium collapses? And this is something right-wingers have to answer for themselves. I can't answer it for them.
Okay, I've got your map up here. Sorry.
Well, what do you think? Do you support Roman-style Western hegemonic imperium, or do you want a return to a more national, local, self-focused
obviously, like
program?
I stand with the more self-focused, get rid of the global hegemony stuff, and I think we've turned a lot of people against us with the global hegemony stuff. Like, because it's interesting. I need to post it. I've been holding off on posting it because the memes are a bit spicy right now. I was in Russia 4 years ago. I get stopped now at the border and they ask me about my Russian visa because I literally look like a spy in it. I've got like a black jacket and red lipstick and then it's like all in Russian. But I was there to film a documentary because of all of the Russiagate stuff with Trump, and it didn't end up happening because my it's actually really freaking hard to get a Russian visa even when none of this was going on. And my video guy could not get a Russian visa. So I just ended up doing a few interviews in Russia and then going home. But when I was there, I just found like an old hard drive with these interviews I did with Russians in Moscow, asking them about their opinions on Trump and America and everything. And they very much view America the way that we now are looking at Russia, right? As like imperialist. They want to, like Russia wants to retake the former USSR, right? And I mean, they're not doing good arguing against that with their current behavior. But they, America are culturally imperialist. They want to extend into the rest of the world. They want to make sure the rest of the world is liberal like them. And, definitely that Cold War rhetoric has continued on to this day. And they're watching all of these battles go on in the Middle East, everything. And they're like, oh man, if we don't have our strong Russian identity that is opposed in some way to the West, they're just going to come and eat us up culturally, politically, whatever it might be, because all they do is expand. So I do think that in a lot of ways, we as Westerners, certainly America, has turned a lot of the world against it by always trying to expand that way rather than just being focused on itself and its own improvement.
Yeah, but power abhors a vacuum, and this is something that I've wrestled with personally for a really long time, because I was raised on the American narrative of like, oh, we were the underdogs and we escaped religious persecution, and then we defeated the savage Native Americans. Obviously I'm paraphrasing, but sure, we did a lot of fucked up shit to the Native Americans, but they did a lot of fucked up shit too, excuse my French. Basically we created this country and it has all these important values. And then we got sucked into World War II just because of how evil Adolf Hitler was. And then since then, because the Russians were so evil, we had all these military bases all over the world. But now we're kind of like in this new world order, not in a nefarious sense, but in a way in which we've been thrust into the role of world policeman, and some people resent that role and some people respect that role. And so for me, looking at history, this is true, but there's always been a push for America to basically become a new empire and a new Rome. And I would say that mixed economy capitalism and internationalism almost require us to become a commercial and cultural empire. And when we look at the benefits, like you and I are talking on, electronics that were manufactured overseas and that have like rare earth minerals that were imported from different parts of the world, we are the benefits of this empire. So for me, it's hard to look at the material wealth and say, oh, this is all evil, this is all bad, it all needs to come crashing to a halt, especially when I know what that looks like. Then also, when it comes to the cultural side of things, I think there is a degradation. I think there is a collapse of the spirit of the West, partially due to internationalism, partially due to secularism. But then that's the question is, I don't think returning to tradition or going to live on a farm is going to solve these issues, because these issues are bigger than the it's a spiritual crisis without a definitive answer. And so that's where I boil down that spiritual crisis to is international mixed economy, capitalist, liberal hegemony good or bad? And if you say it's bad, then you're going to be non-interventionist or pro-Russia. And if it's good, then you're going to be pro-Ukraine.
Okay, yeah. Let me throw a few thoughts to that. First of all, when conservatives say like go move to the farm, they're not saying that's going to solve your problems. They're saying that's going to solve your problems. Your problems immediately, right? You're going to be able to get away from all of the political bullshit for the most part that's affecting you and your ability to have a family and, you know, do the things you love. So that's the go to the farm is a bit of a black pill, but a white pill for your own life. And when it comes to like being the world police, America being involved in everything, or just, I think you kind of hit it on the head with the power vacuum thing. Like there's always going to be someone in that role. There's always going to be someone who is kind of the most powerful in the world necessarily. I don't think we'll ever sort out some well-functioning, you know, administrative body that makes everyone get along. We look at the UN and EU, and they function to a degree, but not to the degree that they can even stop conflicts like we're having now. But in the option, and this goes down to like a micro level on racial, gender, all these different things, it scarily does seem to be the case that you are either the oppressed or the oppressor. Like that does seem to be in a dichotomy too often. You have a choice. You can either be the one in charge, or you can be the one getting the shit end of the stick. And this is obviously arguments that I've seen certainly in further right circles of the internet, where they're like, damn, you know, you look at, you just open borders and you have you free elections, everything, no matter what. And then you just become like South Africa and white people are now getting killed. Or a more complex example of that is Israel, Palestine. Oh gosh, I try my best not to bring up this topic because there's no winning bringing up Israel, Palestine. But obviously, a lot of the Zionist argument is, well, you know, we necessarily have to be oppressors. They'll say Palestine is free. You know, they're all free in Palestine, but they'll never let them properly have the same rights to elections. They'll never let them properly have the same control, because they know the instant they do, they'll vote out kind of a more Zionist government. So, yeah, it's to some degree, in some cases, you have to do bad guy things to survive, I guess. But that doesn't make you not the bad guy.
And what's philosophically foundational? So I know a lot of people in a lot of spheres. You know, I like these people, but they would say Christianity. They would say like, this is a part of European history. This is a part of European heritage. Even if you don't believe it literally, it's a part of our meta narrative. There's a lot of important ethics that are communicated through Christianity. And if we return to our roots philosophically, then we'll find a unifying force that is beyond race and beyond beyond the squabblings of our time, but it can still unify a Western identity because that's the dominant cultural force. I think the problem with this worldview, and I know we're kind of getting off of Ukraine, but I don't think we really are. The problem with this worldview is that at the core of this narrative is the divinity of Christ, which I hate to inform everybody in the Western world is a point of contention. And in an increasing secularizing world, it seems strange from a secular perspective, because I'm not a Christian. I'm a cultural Christian, but you know, I don't literally believe in the divinity of Christ.
We'll fix that. Mm-hmm. We'll fix that.
Okay, well, you can try, but but I am a deist. I do believe, I'm a Gnostic. I believe in God. But the point being is that if you don't think that foundation is true, then you're building your society on a rocky foundation. The next alternative also has its own problems, though, because that foundation is liberalism.
Yes.
And liberalism is a syncretic idea, like the Greeks, where as long as you prescribe to 3 or 4 core ideas, then it could incorporate anybody. But then as a result, you don't have a lot of social cohesion because liberalism is kind of like atheism. It's like its definition is that it abhors definition. So then how do you build a coherent society that is capable of dealing with crisis from a foundation that doesn't feel firm in your hand?
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
we have
the
like
problem.
7,000 competing ideologies trying to win out against liberalism at any given point, trying to morph something out of that, identityless mass that is liberalism. Okay. I want to, actually, I'm going to bring up your map quickly here before we jump to the next topic. And I'm going to read a few super chats and then we'll get to the gender wars because I want your thoughts on that. Okay, here's your map. What did you want to do with this map, my friend?
So I'm going to look at some
You need me to zoom
comments while I'm waiting. No, I'm still on a time delay, so I'm waiting for it to show up on your screen, like if it's actually showing up for everybody. Okay, liberalism, I already said it was like a syncretic philosophy, whoever the fuck was saying that liberalism isn't defined. And what is a Gnostic? It's somebody who knows God. It's knowledge. But I'm not seeing, oh, there we go. Okay, so I see it. So let me just make sure
Zoom
my
in
camera's
on,
focused so you guys can see it. No, you're fine. Leave it where it is. So basically, everything east of Kharkiv, which everybody should see, it's in the top right of the map. Everything east of Kharkiv is like contested area for Donetsk and Luhansk. So I think everything east of Kharkiv is pretty much conceded, or should be conceded at this point, because those are going to be Russian majority areas, and that's where the Russian army is going to be so concentrated that you're never going to pull them out. They're basically ticks. But I've been told by a German who studied the Ukrainian conflict that Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, Druskiva, Yanakieva, Makievika, maybe not those more eastern ones, but Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, and Druzhviska, around that area, there are some of the best units in the Ukrainian army that are already entrenched, that have dug in since the war in 2014. So not only are they the veteran fighters, but also they basically have the kind of logistical support that's capable of them. You think Mariupol's bad? You think, basically Mariupol being shelled to shit while the remaining forces continue to fight on, those places would basically like make the Russians bleed. So as a result, I don't think that they're actually going to take them. I think that's where the militarized border is going to be. Now, the continued harassment of, if you look on the western side, like Odessa, which I would say, I believe correctly demographically is majority Ukrainian, and since it has access to the sea, it's like logistically important to the Ukrainians to maintain. My presumption, of course I can be wrong, is that the Russian harassment of Odessa or further western Ukrainian holdings or even Kyiv and all that kind of stuff, these are not actual attempts by the Russian military to take and control territory. What it is harassing the Ukrainians to the negotiating table so they will concede Donetsk, Luhansk, and Crimea. The problem, at least this is what I've been told, I don't know why, the problem is if the Zelensky government publicly concedes these areas, they will lose legitimacy amongst the Ukrainian people. That's what I've been told. Yeah. I don't know if it's true. Okay. Yeah. What I would say is that there's no hope of the Ukrainians taking back these areas from a conventional Russian military. Why are you going to continue the bloodshed when you know you can't hold it? Come to a negotiated settlement where the western half breaks away, the western half maintains Odessa, and basically everything north of Pavlograd. And as a result, you can basically walk away with your dignity relatively intact and decrease the bloodshed. That being said, I still think the West should give the Ukrainians tactical consultation, technical consultation.
Okay, so actually, I agree. Support, I agree with everything you just said. I agree with everything you just said. That's interesting. Yeah. I think when it comes to the logistical, okay, so the tactical support, like what I've heard is that some of the demands being made online, particularly, send them these fighter jets, send them these weapons. Like, the people aren't even trained to use them in these armies. So a lot of the demands being made, or like put in a no-fly zone, right?
It's not going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is what I mean when I'm talking about my frustration with the West engaging with this issue. They aren't acknowledging the nuance like you are, where you're like, actually, there are political options that could be made that could reduce bloodshed and actually maintain the existence of Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. And I just see a lot of people that are like, F Putin, give him nothing, even if it costs the lives of all of these people, right?
Yeah, that's ballsy to say on Twitter, Yeah. It's like that tweet from like Janet or whatever, who's like, let me at ISIS, I'll tear them a new asshole. And it's like a 40-year-old with like that classic kind of crazy 2000s haircut. So it's easy to be ballsy on Twitter. It's a little bit different when it's your life on the line. I already know that there's Ukrainians who wouldn't agree with my concession, but my point to them would be, these are Russian majority areas ethnically. The Russians control them with a conventional military. The Ukrainians have been able to hold on because of asymmetric warfare and high technology. They've been able to use modern missile systems to counter tanks and helicopters, but that's not an advantage that lends itself to winning a conventional war. You can make yourself unpalatable to the Russian army to the point that they don't even want to try to eat you anymore, but you can't win a conventional war against the Russians, or at least I don't think I've heard anybody say that they think the Ukrainians can take back those regions. Nobody's serious anyways.
Okay. So lots of blue check mark aren't serious. As long as we agree on that, we're good. Oh, okay. Yeah. Wait, there was one more thing I wanted to bring up with you.
Me forwarding Ukrainian propaganda?
Yep, absolutely. I need to get another water bottle because.
Yo, I wanted to fight about that DM from like the Destiny conversation where like, you have business talking about misinformation when you support the Ukrainian propaganda.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll be right back. 2 seconds.
All right. So Weekend Jail says at Counterpoints we can't see the map. Yep, sorry, tough teddies. Go ahead and jump on Lauren's stream if you want to see it and rewind a little bit. Ian Petter at Counterpoints, the Russians want to take Mykolaiv, Odessa, and go through to Moldova to Transnistria. I think that's going to be very contested and they're not going to do well there. Russia called the NATO and EU's bluff and the West folded. Bullshit, Kung Fu. If we folded, then Kiev would have been taken. You're fucking, like, the reality and your perspective do not coincide with your whole, like, the West folded shit. Get the fuck out of here. Russia is trying to take Bar, Kanova, which is just northeast of Kharkiv. All right, that makes sense. So, here's some close notes on what happened in Ukraine. All right. I'm going to check while we're waiting. I'm going to check on Lauren's chat because they were saying some stupid shit.
Oh, no.
Oh, nope, never mind. Well, if you're back, I can just talk to you. But they were like, liberalism has a definition. Yeah, no shit, dumbass. Do you think that I said that liberalism? Sorry, I'm a little tired, so I'm a little fussy. So if Lauren's mom is listening, I'm sorry for using profanity again, Miss Southern. Yeah, so
the Persian vodka is already in screen, so I'll just confess.
All right, good. So, yeah, liberalism. I know that this might be hard for people to understand words that have multiple syllables, but syncretic. Okay, I'll Google the term syncretic for everybody. Okay, characterized or brought about by a combination of different forms or beliefs and practices. Greek democracy was syncretic, because it had like a pantheon of gods and it tolerated the different people who worship those different gods. And it incorporated people from different cultures. That's what I mean when I'm talking about liberalism. It doesn't have a unified core except for the belief in 3 or 4 Republican ideals. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying liberalism defies definition. It's because you can have a Muslim who is a, liberal Democrat in the Western world, and that's not a contradiction. Meanwhile, if you had a Christian nationalist country, a Muslim person would be a contradiction to that national identity. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyways.
Lauren, don't drink. It will bring you down in the end. I tell you right now, I only drink when 90% of the time I'm drinking, it's on live stream. So I know I look like an alcoholic and I should probably stop, but I literally rarely drink. just
like hilarious.
Just
it's
with
like
my
the
public
one time
presentation.
you shouldn't be
I
doing it.
know. I know. This was given to me as a gift by some friends who visited, so thank you.
Totally.
The Persian vodka. Oh, it's not. It's a
Persian.
It's a raisin vodka. They highly recommended it.
Right. So you want to get into me spreading Ukrainian war propaganda?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly touch on a few super chats that were saying what someone guy mentioned.
Yeah, please.
Lauren's just listening to Russian propaganda on Telegram. Well, no, like a lot of them are actually agreeing with you, but no, what I will admit, I have a susceptibility to play devil's advocate and everything, just because whenever I see a situation that is very complex and I see people bringing it down to these really cartoonish levels, like Putin, big evil, Ukraine, big good, drawing people into Marvel Avengers drawings with different characters, or this person's Voldemort, this person's Harry Potter, but it's like real life situations, even down to the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp stuff. Whenever everyone has decided they're with one side, I will absolutely go devil's advocate and try to see, at the very least, what the other perspective could be. And that doesn't mean I accept it. Like, there are times I'll defend things that I ultimately, at the end of the day, am like super against, but I'm just doing it to try to
balance the narrative,
but also like work out that muscle of being able to consider the other perspective, because everyone thinks they're the good guy. I always have these like moments where I'll freak out and I'll be like, oh my goodness, like what if like I'm actually in North Korea, what if I'm actually the one that's living this like insanely oppressive life, and then everyone in North Korea or these other states are the good ones, because of course that's what you would think. If you were in North Korea, you would think everyone else was in this horrible, oppressive regime, and you're in the beautiful, wonderful one. So, but it's really hard for people to consider things to that level. Even just like on a personal level, what if I'm the bad person in this situation? What if I'm being the bad person in my relationship? People can't even do that, let alone do it on a global level.
Well, yeah. So I think it's always good to have doubt. And I think it's always good to consider the perspectives of your opponents. And one of the things that was really interesting about this is watching the American Empire. So like I'm an apologist for the American Empire, but I'm not an apologist for the consequences of the American Empire. I'm almost an apologist for the intent. So, for instance, like we invaded Afghanistan after the 9/11 terror attacks, this, that, the other. We wanted blood. We were seeing red. I'm pretty much good with that. Even Iraq, while being morally abhorrent on so many levels, I can walk you through the logic of the Rumsfeld, Cheney neocons and why they thought that taking out Saddam Hussein and building like a liberal democratic paradise in the middle of, the Middle East was a good idea. I can walk you through their logic, even if I think they're fucking idiots. But
yes.
The problem is that reality is resistant to our ideals. You can take your ideals and you can shift the world towards your ideals, but you can never just take reality and just like force your fantasy onto it. And so that's what I try to communicate to people who have all these utopian fantasies about the world they want to create. It's like, try to take the first step to implementing your worldview and then get back to me on how hard that is. And then we can start talking about your utopian fantasy. Because I think if people realized how hard it is to change the world, they would realize like, I can push it in my direction, but my utopia is not real. So, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get into our little spicy debate over propaganda. I'm going to quickly say thank you to a few super chats, because Paul Walker just donated $100 dues. That's huge. Thanks, man. With a very good message of geopolitics/conflict is the most complex in humanity. Yeah, 99% of people, even if they're checkmark experts, they're just pretending. Everyone's pretending they know what's going on. Just some people are better and they have more tools to work with when pretending. Because you'll see people that are really, really smart, like really educated in subjects, make wrong calls all the time. So it's not necessarily pretending, but making the best predictions they can, so to speak. Mitchell Flores. Hello, Lauren. Thanks for saying hi over at the Elijah versus Destiny debate stream. Could people see your diplomacy perspective as appeasement? Yes. And I think Connor pointed on that or touched on that, where he said, there are probably some wise decisions that could be made here to say, take Donetsk, take I can never pronounce any of the, I can barely pronounce
I
people's.
said Luhansk.
Luhansk, yeah. Take these territories and like let Ukraine be, kind of thing, and that could save a lot of lives. But yeah, there is a perspective that'll make Zelensky regime look weak. That'll make the world look weak to an extent as well. That will kind of make a mockery of the United Nations, all of these different organizations that are supposed to keep shit together. Yes.
And to share this, I don't like young men dying for theater. That's one of the most morally
what I'm touching on.
That's one of the most morally repugnant things that I can think of. So if there is a goal to be achieved, this will segue into the propaganda conversation. If there's a goal to be achieved in which pushing in a certain direction can help further that goal, I'm okay with that. And I'm even okay with a certain level of rosy optimism that doesn't match to reality, because psychology is so important in conflict. But pretending that the Ukrainian army is going to take back these territories is bullshit. What's going to happen is over the next 5 years, this border is going to become hyper-militarized, and it's going to be up to the Russians how much they allow the Ukrainians to reinforce these eastern areas. And you're basically going to have generations of young men go to this border area in order to maintain the militarized border, and probably dozens of them are going to die per year, because there is going to be a skirmish at, a few times per year. And as a result, those men are going to die just to keep up the pretense of contestation. So that's gross to me.
I did a conversation, it was like 2 videos ago. Some of you probably watched it, The Truth About Ukraine. I've got an Australian mate who's on the ground there right now. He was in Donbass and Kharkiv. I can't remember the exact location he is right now. But, when he put it in the context of a few months ago, I was sitting in these karaoke bars, making friends with all these Ukrainians. Like, we're just having a blast. And now I'm texting them. Oh, I'm like getting emotional thinking about it. Like, I'm texting this girl I met at this bar, and we became good friends, and she's telling me how she hasn't heard from her boyfriend in a week, who was sent to the front lines and doesn't know if he's dead. And they were just singing in a karaoke bar like a week before. Like, imagine that happening to your friends and family, and you're not sure if this is just for political theater, if this is just to play games for a war that you can't necessarily win. So like, I get really maybe I don't express it well enough, and that's a fair enough critique, but I get really frustrated when people are like, oh, it's because you've got this like pro-Putin agenda or whatever, Lauren. It's like, no, I've got a pro-people agenda. I've got a pro-human beings agenda, not the political games stuff. There's a lot of really, Willie. My conversation with Willie, as Junior in chat said. Okay, a few more super chats. Sorry, I got a bunch of them, and I'm gonna have to answer most of them at the end, probably, or between these conversations, guys.
I don't have a really strict timeline. So
okay, up to you. Sweet. Yeah, because we got a lot of topics to touch on. Physicality channel. By the way, Ukraine's Nazi statues are matched by Russia's Stalin statues. Stalin ran his own labor camps and executions. Russia had no moral standing to attack. There's been... that was actually funny. So this video that I filmed that I'll release at some point is me going up to Russians in Moscow and asking them, because they had a Victory Day parade and all of them were in little communist hats with communist flags, and I was so mind blown. I'm not kidding. Thousands of people around me with hammers and sickles and like their families and everything, tanks going by, and I'm asking, like, do you see the hammer and sickle as being just as bad as the swastika with the amount of people that died under this regime? But they had a bit more of a nuanced answer than just, no, the Soviet Union did nothing wrong. They basically said, well, no, we don't really understand why people are that disturbed by the swastika either. It's a part of your history. You kind of have to accept it as a part of your history or you'll forget it. And, there were good people and bad people, and obviously horrible things happened in that regime. But it's basically their conclusion is good or bad. If it's a part of our history, we remember it, which I found interesting. But yeah, you're correct when you say there's, for all the Nazi statues in Ukraine, there's a Stalin statue in Russia.
Yeah, I found so I deal with a little bit further right and further left areas of the internet, and I found it really interesting talking to actual internet fascists who were alarmed by liberal support for alleged Ukrainian fascists because they were supporting the wrong fascists. I was like, you guys don't give a fuck. You don't care about these people's ideals.
Okay,
You're
no,
just
no, 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 no,
mad
no,
that the
no.
liberals are supporting the dirtbags. Like,
No.
what do you want?
Listen. This actually this does trigger me. I saw it was
Uh-huh.
it was one of the top posts on Reddit the other day. I can't remember. It was like Cool Pics Reddit or something, and it was two Ukrainian soldiers, and they're sitting there in front of a house, and there's like a bunch of dead people in the house. Now, first of all, even if it were a bunch of Taliban, sharing a photo of like soldiers doing like peace signs in front of a house of dead people, that would probably end up in the media as look at these evil, American soldiers like going in and doing this. But because it was two Ukrainian guys, everyone was soying out, saying so cool, amazing. They're like real life Vikings because they had kind of Viking beards. But then they both had the black sun on their chest, like these big black sun images, and all of Reddit were like, so cool, amazing, Viking kings. And this is to say nothing for the soldiers. Like, I get you have to kill people in war. They're gonna do things, they're gonna do dances, they're gonna have fun after they kill people, because that's just what war is like, all right? I have friends who are soldiers, like it's a shit show. And you gotta do things to keep yourself sane. Like this commentary is not about those soldiers at all. It's about Reddit's reaction and how they will freak out, cheering, saying, amazing, look at these soldiers in front of a bunch of dead bodies with the black sun on their uniform. But then Turning Point USA has an event, or I have an event, and they're sitting there for like 10 hours trying to calculate how they can interpret the stage as a swastika if you look at it in the right lighting at like 4 minutes 56 seconds. If the glitch on the camera is at the correct angle, then the stage kind of looks like a swastika, so therefore Charlie Kirk is a secret neo-Nazi. They sit around all day doing this, and then they finally have people literally openly wearing black sun badges in front of dead people, and they're like, I'm sorry, that's a bit triggering.
Okay. But here's my point: is that I'm a little bit more nuanced in my like understanding of fascism or whatever. So fascism is this is actually really annoying for me for having to deal with leftists all the time. Fascists are political corporatists, meaning that they want to treat the nation body as a body, and treat its like subsequent like health or ill health as the analysis of like the national, national health of the nation. And they also believe in like flexible authoritarianism. So they don't care what systems of governance brings them into power so they can advocate for the health of the national body. They just want it to be there. So for me, I don't give a fuck about like any of this shit, because this is all about like political philosophy that is pretty much like secular monarchy. And I think I talked to a fascist recently. I think most people do not care enough about republicanism or governance or democracy, where if they were given a button to push in order to implement their dogmatic agenda, they would push that button. So for me, I don't care about who's the biggest shitbag contest, because the truth is everybody's terrible.
Oh, that's actually not even what I'm like. I don't care. I don't care
Oh,
about
no,
your
for
little
sure.
military badges.
I'm tired.
Yeah. That it doesn't. In every military in the world, they've got like edgy badges. They've had to start banning them like within internal militaries, definitely in Canada, Australia, the US, because everyone liked those like death skull badges that the SS used to wear. But like it's just military. They like death symbolism. They like to be edgy, and they have these little units and bands and stuff that have all these internal jokes. And it used to be the case, I mean, you'd probably know this better than I would, that a lot of the media that would attach with the military wouldn't publish those things, or they'd censor them or blur them. But now because they get like wartime is very different from peacetime. People act different. Gallows humor, all that sort of stuff, but they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, the Marine Corps Scout Sniper symbol for at least some, I don't know if it's private or if it's public symbolism, is the double lightning bolt that looks like SS. So yeah, there's plenty of violent and nefarious symbology within military units and all that kind of stuff. And I can understand you've been attacked a lot more for your politics than I've ever been attacked for mine, because I'm, being a part. This is the fun thing. So to all the dissident right people who are like either Christian nationalists or far right, or even just they consider themselves traditional conservatives, what's great about being a liberal hegemonic American apologist is you don't, like, nobody gives a fuck. They're like, yeah, that's the normal perspective. You don't have to take as much shit.
Okay. This is way too strong. We're not drinking tonight. I have nothing else in the house because I don't drink that often. Okay, people? Just thought it would be nice. All right. We'll see if there's any quick super chats that just happened. In the past decade, Russian TV showed USSR in a positive light. Only 70% of Russians say USSR was a great era. That's how we got Rashism of today. Yeah, that was actually my experience. A lot of people were very nuanced and thought the USSR brought great things when I was speaking to them. Which part of your country are you willing to give up to Putin if he invaded your country? Quebec.
California.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this was a super chat by Alexander.
I love how that guy was like, "Oh, this is an own. They won't be willing to give up any part. You could have New York. You could have all sorts of crap. Jeez."
We're both like, "Oh, got one right now." Yeah.
Yeah. Take it.
No, because I actually, like, I was really thinking about this. I was like, okay, so what if Canada was invaded? What would I do? So let's say America invades Canada and they really want, maybe they're invading Canada because they say, Quebec should really be a French territory and we're invading it for the sake of them. We want to give it back to France or whatever. First of all, much like these regions in Ukraine, there has been attempted referendums to leave, and it was like 51% said no. 49% of Quebecers said they wanted to detach from Canada. They wanted to secede, right? So it was actually pretty close. So it's not the worst example in the world. But I was thinking, if America invaded, and I'm sitting here, in my little, like, middle of nowhere with my family, like, and then Canada and the rest of the world, a bunch of big superpowers, Russia, China, start telling us, you go Canada, you fight, because they know they're going to get some sort of benefit. They know distracting America and having them putting their arms and resources and putting sanctions on them is going to be beneficial to them. And they're like, you go Canada, here's some weapons, have fun. I would be pissed. I would be like, give them Quebec. We are going to die. My husband is going to die. Whenever this happens, my son is going to die. My father's going to die. Please stop. End this now, because it's going to end at some point in which we're going to lose. So I'd rather just have less of my family members die than sit around for freaking Quebec. Sorry, Quebecers in my chat. I don't hate you. I would give you up.
Yeah, the question though is, or not even a question really, just a thought is, what if it wasn't just Quebec that was under contest, but then it was your areas? And so for me, I really do respect the Ukrainians who are fighting for the Ukrainian majority areas and who have put their lives on the line. Because we're not just talking about Donbass, Luhansk. I have friends who are in Western Ukraine, and just as to set an example, the Russians shelled and artillery struck these Western parts that aren't geographically significant at all. They literally killed civilians just as a bargaining chip for the conflict. And so for me, I can understand the logic behind it, but it's so morally repugnant. I respect any Ukrainian who's willing to go try to kick these people out. And so that's where, for me, I do agree with you. Like, there are those Russian majority areas are not coming back. They're just not. So sorry to my Ukrainian followers. But
I was thinking about that too.
Does that,
where I live,
do we need to participate in theater for the next half? Do a bunch of young Ukrainian men have to die in order to participate in political theater? So
I think there'd be a good portion of Canadians that would vote to join America. Like, if you went,
we would welcome you with help. We would welcome you with open arms. I would love to have a North American Union. Like, I think you guys are like cucks and wussies, but you got plenty of territory and national resources and pretty cool people. So whatever.
Okay. Not far-fetched, Cleveland Steamer says, not far-fetched if the Russians invaded, would they recruit from the far left, far right? They are anti-American in both extremes. I've seen that meme before. I'm sure you have as well, that Russians are like flaming the fire of both the far right and the far left because they're both just anti-America. I've seen those memes before. But anyway, speaking of propaganda, war
Good
propaganda
segue.
exists. It's going to be a thing in any war. I think it was a lot easier during World War I and II, obviously, because not everyone had a cell phone. So you could just be like, oh yeah, we kicked ass over there, even though you lost a bunch of troops just to keep morale up, right? And I can see a bit of that happening in Ukraine. When I was talking to my friend Willie, he'd be like, yeah, they'll massively overestimate deaths of Russians and massively underestimate their own people's deaths because they want to keep positivity going. This has happened in every nation. Like, it's not uncommon. I would not agree with people being like, oh, the Zelensky regime are like these evil, conniving liars when they do this that are different from every other regime. No, that's actually just what everyone does during war.
We do that.
But it is false, so it does trigger me, especially stuff like the Snake Island reports and Ghost of Kiev. That stuff
can we barrel down on that? Because I actually think that would be the contention, basically. So.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to get to this point. So Connor sent me a photo, and it was a bomb that had written on it, "This is for the children." I do not believe Russia is, they're not America, they're not Britain, but they are still a professional military force. They're not going out here, especially when you have a PR war going on, writing "This is for the children" on warheads. It's like that meme when people were saying that Assad gas attacked his own people when he was winning the war. It's like, why? Or the Sun Tzu thing where it's like, remember, when you are winning the war, attack your own people to turn them against you. Like, it makes no sense why they would write "This is for the children" on the missile. I don't think they did it. I think that was Ukrainian propaganda. And you said it doesn't matter, Lauren.
Yeah. So do you want to start there? Or do you promise we'll get to the Ghost of Kiev?
Well, it's the same thing. It's like, I just think it's
okay.
propaganda.
Then I'll start.
Which, by the way, the Russians are doing too. The Russians are doing too.
Okay, I'll start with the Ghost, and then we can move to the train station shelling. So, for the Ghost of Kiev or whatever, Ukraine is in an interesting position where they are not known for their military strength, whereas Russia is. And I think Russia kind of has shown itself to be a less effective fighting force than we as a culture had previously estimated. That doesn't mean they're not dangerous. It just means that they're less effective than we thought they were. And so I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a Ukrainian helicopter or fighter pilot or even transport pilot who is about to go up in the air in contested air where the Russians have anti-air assets, and they should have, even though they haven't flexed it, they should have air supremacy. Basically, the second a Ukrainian aircraft asset takes off, it should be getting taken out. And so the fact that there was any Ukrainian pilots who had the balls to fly missions over Ukraine is amazing by itself. So I don't give a shit if there's one pilot who, flew this mission and down 17 fucking aircraft. The fact that anybody was like, I'm probably going to die today, but I'm going to strap my balls into this fucking jump seat and go up against the enemy and do some fucking work, that is worthy of praise and propaganda.
But mate, they're not even getting the praise. It's footage from a fucking video game. Like the footage of the Ghost.
Do you think? Oh no, but that wasn't even they were like memes and shit, and everybody like some of the very first.
Yeah, but now
memes
they're
were like,
now they're
I
a
want
joke.
To believe
any of those guys, you bring up one of those pilots that actually did something significant and amazing, and people are gonna mock and laugh and bring up the Ghost of Kiev now because it was a lie. If you start with a lie, like you can't work your way back from that. If you just started with the truth and said there were these extremely yes, I don't know anyone left or right that doesn't make jokes about the ghost of whatever now. They're a meme now.
Those jokes are funny.
They are, but if you're one of those pilots who did an amazing, significant achievement and then someone went and completely lied and blew it out of proportion so no one took it seriously anymore, it wouldn't be very funny to me.
Yeah, we're going to massively disagree on this one. I don't think those pilots give a shit about any of the propaganda that's behind them. They're too busy doing their jobs. The propaganda isn't for the pilots or for the soldiers. It's for the normal people at home. And so the ghost of Kyiv is not about it's about the valor of the pilots. That's true. But the emotional core is true if the exterior core isn't. And that's the same thing that I would say for Snake Island, by the way. I'm
but if
sure
they had just stuck to
Snake
the
Island's
truth,
bullshit.
if they had just stuck to the truth, it would have appeared brave and it
it?
wouldn't have backfired into a mockery. And it is a mockery now, and now people trust
Where did it
less.
backfire?
Where did it backfire? When a bunch of people found out that all of those people on the ship didn't actually die.
I think you're putting more weight on this than the people who were affected by the propaganda.
Sorry,
I think most people.
The Russians are cutting your internet.
Either. What about now? Hold on. I'll exit out of this. Give me a second. What about now?
Just give it one more second. Someone said it was real to me, Connor. It was real to me. No, you're still cutting pretty bad. I'm gonna answer some super chats while we wait for Connor to go kill the Russian man outside messing with his internet.
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, but you keep like going into these like mega pause moments where you'll be like half a blink and it'll sit there for 5 seconds. Let me read some super chats and wait to see if your connection's stabilized. Yeah, because it just did it again right there, Connor. Okay. Paul Walker says, it's not theater, it's war. Right now I employ people that have families there. Yeah, it is war, but we're talking about the political theater. If there are aspects of war and there are aspects of conflicts that are being used by politicians, not for the good of the people. So that's the theater we're talking about. We're not talking about the experience that people are obviously going through there on the ground, Paul. But thank you for the super chat. All right. Chat, going fast. We got a good amount of people here for how late it is. I'm impressed. Happy to have you here, though. I'm live every Thursday night. Usually I start a little earlier, 6 p.m. Pacific, but it was later tonight. But every Thursday, typically. All right. Oh, here we go. If you see me constantly powdering my nose, it's because my nose is super red because I've got the sniffles right now. Okay. Alexander. Okay, I already answered that. Antonio, I support the current thing. Good for you, Antonio. Good for you. Oh, they killed Connor. Connor is deceased. We'll go back to my full scene while we wait for him to come back. Man, that was quick. Their assassins are much better than I thought they were. I thought the Russian military was horrible. Okay. Old School says, is this the Beauty and the Beast? Me sick here with my vodka? I'm the Beast, of course. Mycap, how do we not know that Zelensky isn't a Russian plant? They are taking the piss out of NATO. Bro, maybe this is like 4D underwater backgammon. Physicality. Knee-jerk contrarianism is another right-winger trait Russian propaganda targets. Trudeau, Biden, CNN is pro-Ukraine, so I'll love Putin instead. I agree with that. I think knee-jerk contrarianism is a bad thing. But I try to make mine not knee-jerk contrarianism, as in, like, I fully accept the idea. It's more, I fully consider it. I like to go and fully consider it. I won't necessarily take that position and adopt it as my own, but I think knee-jerk consider both sides is a good trait. EM Penner says, there is no theater. Russia wants all of Eastern Ukraine and Moldova. Ukraine is fighting for survival. I'm sorry, mate. Right now it's looking like Ukraine does not have the backing physically on the ground of a lot of places that could assist in its survival, certainly on the Eastern Front. But we'll see. I'm not going to make any more predictions anymore because I didn't think that Russia was going to invade. I didn't. So I don't know if they're going to go and try to take Moldova. I couldn't tell you. Connor, are you alive over there?
I am. Can you hear me or no?
I can hear you. Did you go and kill the guy tampering with your internet?
No. He was a DGGer, so I had to let him live.
Daliban at it again. Oh,
Did it, wait, so can you see me and is it working on your end? Because it's still showing like bad frames on my side.
I can see you fine. I can hear you fine. All right, we should move on
Oh,
to the
fuck
next.
it. Let's roll with it.
Oh wait, no, you
Well,
wanted to say
hold
some
on,
more things. Okay, make it quick, because
Yeah.
what time is it? All right, yeah,
Almost midnight.
we've got
you
like
fucking
4
boomer.
more topics that we need to cover. We've been on
Do we?
Ukraine this whole time. All right, have you
Jesus,
had COVID?
I didn't know we were going that much.
That's okay. We'll get it done in 30 minutes. Yeah, I have had COVID, Mad Max. Worst hangovers.
Okay, so finally with the kids thing or whatever, I don't for me, I was kind of surprised that you ignored what I said. For me, I don't give a shit what's written on the side of the rocket. There could have been nothing on the rocket. The point of the rocket was the irony of the phrase, the disgusting thing that was going like. And by the way, I was calling out Jackson Hinkle because he's been like cheerleading this war. The way that pro-Ukrainian people have been LARPing pro-Ukraine is the way that he's been LARPing pro-Russia without any justification. And so I just wanted to make the point of like, hey, this is what you're cheerleading. And there's a boy, you know, my son's 4. There's a boy who's in that series of photos that did get taken down by Twitter, who's missing like above his jaw is missing the rest of his head. So this is where, for me, I've seen these things before. I've dealt with these things before. So to me, this is what war is, and I want the cheerleaders to take a hard fucking look at what they're cheerleading.
Okay, maybe I'm interpreting what you're saying wrong, or at least what was in the DMs, because I hardcore disagree with not caring about the information, especially because of how gross and awful that is. It's bad enough. It is bad enough that there's a 4-year-old child that was killed there, right? You don't need to lie. You don't need to take away from the truth of that by making people question it with these lies. And I see this it frustrates me so much, especially with the feminist stuff. You know, a woman will get touched or sexually assaulted. So I had a guy grab my ass in a store, right? And it was all on CTV camera and everything. And if I went into the police station when I made my report and I told them that he raped me in the store, the grabbing my ass in public and saying creepy stuff to me, you know, completely violating my space, that's bad enough. That's bad enough for him to get a charge, especially because he was a serial offender, right? And I was able to, after he did this to like multiple women in public places, get him in jail for a bit because he was sexually assaulting women all over the place, right? If I had lied, less people would believe women, and the police probably wouldn't have brought any charges down on him. So not only does this have social consequences of, you know, you don't need to lie, it's bad enough, and then people will stop trusting you, but it has real world consequences when we include propaganda in our messaging, especially when it can be proved false. Because how many people will look at that and then assume that that dead child isn't actually real, that dead child is like a setup, like White Helmet style, right? Because that message looks so absurd. Especially, like, it does seem like that may have been written on. I think it was probably written on by Ukrainian forces. I don't know, though, of course. But if it was, you're doing a disservice to the truth, much like with the Ghost of Kiev thing. You're doing a disservice to people who have actually done good things.
I agree with maybe I'm being more descriptive than prescriptive with this. I understand the information war, and I understand that's going to play out on both sides. Furthermore, I understand that I can't control it. The only thing that I can do is kind of pick, unfortunately, a relatively binary side and support it. That's pretty much it. Now, I can come onto the stream and tell you that Ukrainians who think they're going to retake the eastern half are fucking lunatics, and they're going to get some of their people killed. I can tell you that. That doesn't mean that I don't support Ukraine in general. Literally, you know, sent them money, sent some people money, and did a fundraiser and all that kind of stuff. So there's a binary choice here between who you're going to back. Maybe not choosing is a choice as well. But for me, not choosing is de facto supporting Russia. So, and it's not to be like, oh, you're evil. I'm just saying that that's like, they're going to win, basically. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see that as a separate question than the propaganda, though. Yeah. So that's just where I stand. Like, I see, like, morally,
Maybe.
I understand where you're coming from, but I do see the lying and the propaganda as a separate question.
Yeah, the thrust, the thrust of that tweet wasn't whether or not the kid shit on the side of the rocket was real. I have no fucking idea. I'm not there. The real thing is, look at this 8-year-old kid with half his head missing and tell me that you support this war. That's more of
Well, like,
what
when
I'm trying to do.
someone could say that and say, yeah, they should have done negotiations with Russia at the beginning. It's your fault for this kid is dead because you decided to go to war with Russia instead of negotiating. You know, that can be used, like, the propaganda can be spun in any way.
This is a moral difference. As a matter of fact, one of the conversations that we're not going to have that I find kind of disgusting is the fact that people pretend that United States Armed Forces do or did what Russia is currently doing, where we're just like shelling cities indiscriminately. That's bullshit. Like, we have the kind of technology where we don't do that in these days.
No one thinks killing kids is good or shelling communities is good. Like, I don't.
There's a moral difference here, though, in the way that you're conducting your warfare. When you load up a rocket and you shoot it into a civilian center, what do you think is going to happen? Like you're going to kill civilians.
Right. No one
making
is
a choice
for that. I'm not. I don't think that's a good thing.
I think the Russians are for that. Pretty sure.
Oh, the people. Oh no, I'm talking about
it.
like in this conversation back and forth. I'm not sure who you were talking about.
Sure. No, I'm very specifically referencing a young man by the name of Jackson Hinkle, who's a Russian apologist, who like when the war kicked off, he literally posted a picture of him in a fucking mansion with an AR-15 holding like a CZ pistol saying, top draft for World War III. This guy's a fucking idiot, and the fact that he has a following pisses me off.
Well, you're gonna have to go debate Jackson Hinkle about that, or has, right? Not me.
Okay. Well, that he was tagged in that tweet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, last Russia-Ukraine thing. Do you think that Coach Red Pill just logged off for 2 weeks to try to get his numbers up?
Yo, what the fuck? Yo, I thought like people were like Azov Battalion got him. I was like, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if they got him. We should wait. We should see. And then he's like, oh yeah, hey guys, I'm back. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, I thought I was like, damn, like it's war. It's war. So there's no, that thin veil of civility disappears.
There's no rules.
There's no rules anymore. Yeah. Like you just get executed. The fact that the FSB, if he's telling the truth, did take him and he didn't die is really making me reconsider like the portrayal of the FSB he himself and others have been putting out. I'm like, wow. That's very moderate of them to not murder someone.
Yeah, great. I'm happy the Ukrainian government didn't kill a Russian shill in territory that they controlled. That's very tolerant of them. So yeah, I'm happy. That would have been a relative PR nightmare, but I also don't think that many people cared. God damn, did you see? So I know you probably don't run in these circles, but Ethan Ralph from the Kill Stream literally did like the RIP Bozo cigar smoking meme when he saw that.
Yeah. Shit. Okay, so that was like another thought I had. I was like, okay, either he's
savage.
Well, I was like, okay, maybe. Okay, there's three options. Coach Red Pill has been kidnapped and killed. If that was the case, like I was going to talk about it if that was the case, but I was waiting because this stuff happens so often. You would not believe, my friends. One day I'll talk about it. You would not believe the amount of people in political media that just completely invent like problems or crises, like from scratch. They'll just be like, the government did this to me, and none of it happened, right? So I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna wait for just wait.
If you're okay, so I would like to extend an olive branch.
Yeah.
If your concern is like, hey, Connor, normally I like you, but I don't like it when you peddle in misinformation because I think that's a bad trait that's indicated to me that people are toxic shitheads in the past. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with being like team fact or team truth,
okay.
Right? So I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't I don't like that shit either, just because I understand other people are going to do it. And I think descriptively, I can say that war propaganda is going to be coming this way and that way. Doesn't mean that I think it's a good thing. It's
Okay.
not a good thing. It's just something that I understand.
So we can align on that. That's good. And I can understand it too. Like I can war propaganda, duh, obviously. Makes sense. Um you're doing yourself a disservice when, like, the other day I saw it had like 70,000 likes on Twitter, and they just had this like picture of a girl from her Facebook from 4 years ago of her smiling, and they're like, this girl took out 70 Russian, I think it was 80 actually, 80 Russian tanks all by herself. And I'm like,
I hope the hyperbole indicates that it's a shit post.
It wasn't. No, Connor, it wasn't a shit post. It wasn't a shit post. And like all of you had like blue checks that are like, this woman is amazing. Like queen.
Yeah.
I think it would be so strange being Ukrainian right now and just seeing people like rip your image from your Tinder profile and then write like a fanfic about you on Twitter.
Well, listen, okay, listen, if there's an American Civil War and people want to rip my Facebook page in order to write badass war propaganda and it actually makes it into the history books, all right, I'm off Team Truth again. Go ahead and do it. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is what I told people.
I'll be the ghost of Orlando.
If this is what it's gonna be, because everyone's making stuff up. Everyone. If you have friends that are Ukrainian and you're a good mate, you better make a damn good war story for them for the history books. You start writing that stuff now. The Russians are doing it.
Photoshopping their new Tinder profile. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get you laid, bud. When this war is over, you're going to be hella laid. That's
Ukrainian refugee Tinder is going to be lit. They're all going to be like, oh yeah, I took out 76 Russian tanks all by myself. 360 no scope. No. And white women from America are going to be like, oh my gosh, this actually happened.
Okay, I'm not saying this actually happened, but I'm saying it was a funny joke at the time. A lot of people in the lefty like Twitch politics sphere were bitching about how nobody was complaining about Ukrainian refugees, and then some other people just like posted pictures of young Ukrainian women, and yeah, that was the argument.
That annoyed me too, seeing people like, why are Poland and Hungary so much more accepting of Ukrainian
they're
refugees?
Neighbors?
Yeah, I know. It's like, is this rocket science for you people? Is that really so hard to understand?
You mean if Georgia, the state of Georgia to the north, starts a civil war and people come in from Georgia, then I'll be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank God you've got some common sense.
Whereas if people from California walk, 3,000 miles to get to Florida, you think I'm going to have fucking problems with that? Absolutely.
All right. Based take, Connor. Redeemed.
Thanks.
All right. We're going to quickly hit on, oh my gosh, we're going to quickly hit on a lot of topics here. What did I said that we were going to talk about.
I was about to say, do we need to, listen, I'm down for whatever. I could roll till like 12:30 or so, but basically, do we need to set up like a recurring debate thing or something? Do you need I'm off Thursdays now.
We're probably, Thursdays would be good. We're going to have to talk
I don't know if your chat hates me or likes me enough one way or the other.
I think they like a bit of back and forth. Chat, do we like a bit of back and forth? We like someone that can challenge me, that isn't a total ass, although that can be fun too.
Hurt bag, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll work on the profanity for Mama Southern.
True. You like rub off on me. It's horrendous. Every time you swear, I'm like, I gotta match that energy.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna be grounded from getting dinners from my mom on weekends. Okay. Hey guys, has anyone seen my copies of The Sims? I had to leave Russia in a hurry. Weird part was, my new roommates got some Nazi stuff from wish.com. Sorry, that was a super chat from Man of Culture. Nice, bud. Okay, we got some I love Connors. I'd trust Connor around kids more than any other bread tuber. That's a pretty high endorsement.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah, he's all right. They like you. We're good. All right, we'll do this. Okay, we'll talk about when does the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial wrap up?
No idea. I haven't been paying attention. If you want to talk about toxic femininity, though, I think that's a perfect 2017 era video that would do very well today.
I do. Well, I do want to talk about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp stuff. So I guess we'll leave that for another discussion. I'll
We
maybe
don't
do it next
we don't
week.
have to. If you want to do it, real quick, we
Well,
can
no,
do it.
if
If you
you
want to do it
haven't
next week, we
watched
can do it next
anything
week.
on it, then I like to have a bit.
Oh no, I know enough about it. I know that she dumped on his bed and she laughed at him and said that nobody would believe him. I know that she messed with his job prospects and she's been diagnosed with like a narcissistic personality disorder that's off the charts. That basically means that she's a pathological liar. I know that the her defense team is completely inept and basically tried to bring up bad things that Johnny Depp had done, and Johnny Depp basically owned them in a humorous way, where he's like, "Listen, I'm not saying there was cocaine in that bag, but it definitely looks like it could fit some cocaine." Like that's fucking
He
hilarious.
was quite funny
So
during the questioning.
yeah, so I think he'll probably win. I think Amber Heard is probably a garbage human being who tried to manipulate Me Too to her own benefit. I think that the people who were being alarmist at Me Too like a while ago, I think they were right. I think there was probably a benefit to saying women should be able to speak up about the wrong things that happened to them, and we should consider their stories seriously. But I think the people who also said, hey, this is going too far and we shouldn't have a witch hunt, I think they were also correct.
Okay. All right. But that's like that's definitely the kind of mainstream take.
Christian Valera says, what the F, Connor is not BreadTube. It's correct. BreadTube is BreadTube is a reference to
but you hang around them a lot.
Leftists. I do hang out with those scumbags a lot. And Christian, that's why I accepted the statement.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Maybe I'll get Xander Hall on because I want to see someone actually try to defend Amber. I'm obviously like everyone is like so fully like, Johnny Depp is the victim here, which is good. Obviously, this is like really good messaging for, men can be victims too, all that stuff. But I do think it would be interesting to see. I don't think anyone will because they'll just get lynched. But it would be interesting to see someone try to defend Amber. I think maybe I'll try to set that up next week.
You might have to hunt a little bit harder than that. I think the one thing that sphere appreciates, which I appreciate about them, is ironic misogyny, which is basically just misogyny, but then you say you're joking at the end of it, and it's okay. I don't know. I don't know if even Zan will jump on that grenade, but you can ask him.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. And then the other one was the gender wars. I've been, I don't know. Did you see my Twitter today? I was having a bit of a spurg out.
No, I didn't. What did I miss?
Oh, what did I hear? Let me check out my own tweets. Uh-oh. I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you prematurely.
I didn't sneeze. We're good. I jinxed myself.
I said prematurely.
Let me just scroll down here.
Well,
okay.
I'll tell you. Oh, yeah. You spurg first, and then I'll spurg after.
Yeah, so I just tweeted about moms at the park. I was at the park today chatting with some moms, and every mom I meet at the park is like super right-wing, just inherently. They'll bring it up themselves. Maybe I'll bring up conversations. It was really funny. Oh, here. Excuse me. Okay, we're good. I sneezed into something, by the way. I didn't sneeze onto my hands, guys, okay? Convinced moms at the park are all inherently right-wing. I have a zero miss rate when I bring up gender issues at school, in school, or immigration issues, particularly related to housing costs. Half the time, they'll start the conversations. Conservatives just suck at PR and don't win these people. Like, one of the moms I remember saying, she's like, oh, thank goodness we're not just talking about your kid this whole time. Like, it's refreshing to have like a political conversation about concerns in the world because I'm just all day dealing with like diapers and poop and bottles and everything. But I totally feel that there's a lot of missed PR opportunities talking to these women. Sydney Watson replied saying, usually conservatives are too busy saying we should repeal the 19th because that messaging is so helpful. And then it just went into a whole conversation with all of these people in my mentions saying, listen, there are a lot of right-leaning women that want to repeal the 19th as well. And they agree that this is a good path to go forward. And like, the desperate for pussy voice meme? I actually met a guy like this in person where a guy will be like, I met a guy that was in a Uber and he had a pussy hat on, those like pink ear hats, and he takes it off and he's like, oh, are you Lauren Southern? Like, I'm a big fan of your work. Don't worry, I'm just trying to get laid with this girl from Tinder. And he'd be sitting there like, I believe all women like love me. And to be The woman version of that is like, haha, repeal the 19th. All women should be chained to the kitchen all day long while tweeting from your phone that women shouldn't be involved in politics, involving yourself in politics. Like, log off, woman, if you believe that. So I just see those as two sides of the same coin. It's like this pick me energy.
Yeah,
and I've been
me,
fighting
yes.
with people all day on it.
Okay, so I know I shared my criticisms of Lauren Chen with you. One of the things that I thought she just nailed out of the park, I think she was talking to Nick Fuentes or she was talking to somebody else, and that person was taking the repeal the 19th, women belong in the kitchen perspective, and she was like, life is long as hell, and I want to work before I have kids. I want to have kids, take care of my kids. And then when my kids are old enough to go to school, I want to contribute to my household financially and egotistically. What a genius response to the people who are like, women need to take care of kids forever. I think it's I hate these people. I hate them so much.
When your kids move out,
they don't touch grass.
They actually hit the deactivate button on the back of you as a woman, and you just have to sit in the corner room and stare at a wall the whole time.
And knit until you die. Yeah, Jesus. Anyways, the point being that there's plenty of stuff that women can do. Obviously, like there's some labor. Like I still think that we have some issues forming families economically. That's a completely different topic. But one of the interesting things is I am friends with family friends with a late 30-year-old, uber progressive, always votes Democrat, thinks that Trump is Hitler, this, that, the other. And I was kind of talking to her about the YouTube space, and Victoria, my wife, she brings up neo pronouns. And this uber progressive goes on like a 4-minute rant about how neo pronouns are stupid as shit and she hates them and she thinks that it's a waste of time and space and she doesn't understand any of these people. And I'm like, holy shit, I am more progressive on neo pronouns than you.
It's literally just there's been a complete inability to reach these women. They don't. It doesn't pop up on their timeline. Part of that is because of censorship. But then Sydney also made a really good point. Let me find this.
Talk to them about making families stronger through cultural initiatives, and I think you could win a lot of these people.
Absolutely. Well, I've seen a few people in chat mention this and saw it on Twitter, people saying, listen, but if we got rid of all women voters, like we wouldn't have Democrats winning as much because, women tend to vote off emotion, they tend to vote Democrat, whatever. And this is what Sydney responded. She's like, if women voted, we'd only have Democrats. So your method of fixing this is to alienate that entire voting block further? Galaxy brain. And that's exactly it. It's like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Logic?
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh, we hate you because you're going to vote Democrat, so we're not going to try to reach out to you at all. And they're like, okay, guess we'll vote Democrat. Cool.
Do you know who this logic equally applies to? And by the way, my brain is slowly turning to soup, so we can go as long as you want, but my brain, like, it's just going to start like early onset dementia, just random ideas are going to start shooting out of my head. Do you know who also is overwhelmingly conservative, appreciates work ethic, appreciates family, appreciates social stability and all that kind of stuff?
And are super far right? Mexicans. Sorry, was that actually what you were going to say?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
They are super, like, very right-wing. I just finished a documentary on this, and we've got a whole chapter called Wrath, and it's all on, like, Mexicans raging about the caravans, and it's really funny.
No, seriously, imagine conservatives appealing to conservative Hispanics along rhetoric and value systems that both tribes share.
Yeah.
I can't... you would basically gut the Democrat base. So, but like I'm like a lunatic. I want, rather than building the wall, I want to invade Central America down to the Panama Canal and then just like annex all of that.
So why aren't you pro-Russia? Okay.
You're right.
Yeah, true.
You're right. You won this debate. Correct.
Yeah, I'll never forget talking to these guys in Tapachula. Tapachula is where a lot of the South Americans cross over and they get stuck there in this kind of bureaucratic limbo. and we were talking to some of the locals, and they were like, oh dude, we're so mad about the caravans, like there's so much immigration, it's really pissing us off. And they're talking like they're, you know, redneck Republicans out here, like hardcore Mexicans. And they're like, oh, just check out some of our Facebook pages, man. Here's our Facebook pages, check them out. And we log into the like Mexican Facebook pages, and going through all the comments, they're like, send these invader rapists back. It's all of this. And then there was one comment that was like, send them back to their mugrero or something. And I'm like, John, what does mugrero mean? Can you look that up? And it's like, shithole.
We have some objectors in chat. I need to remember that I do have some leftists in here. So Christian Valera says not just Hispanic or not just Mexicans, all Hispanics tend to be socially conservative. Gray Jedi says the right is racist, so there you go. Well, I invite you to talk to a Hispanic person and ask them about like, and I'm not talking about like recent immigrant. I'm talking about like from the country, and ask about their ideas on race, and let's see how far they go. Maybe it's a match made in heaven for current conservatives and Hispanic Americans to do well together. And then Marissa Kennedy says, hey, I'm Mexican by ethnicity. My dad was from Mexico. Not far right, but definitely conservative. And so like, I'm not, listen, what I'm really trying to do, this is what I'm really trying to do, is I care about the United States. I care about the people in the United States. I think we have to come up with foundational principles that are good for us, that are worth promoting to the next generation. And I'm worried that Christian nationalism is insufficient. And I am worried that leftist nihilism is slowly destroying us. So I don't have a lot of good options. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
Wonderful. Okay, well, I might have you on next week because we've got a lot to talk about. But I want to let you get to bed, let you get back to the real world. But what do you want to shout out? What would you like to tell the chat about? We got like over 800 people watching. We were almost hitting 1,000 when we were at each other's throats. Clearly, we need to find something that we're just going to want to kill each other.
Oh, that's
over.
Easy. That's super easy. If you want to do like Christian nationalism versus like paperwork nationalism, if you want to do, I don't know, we can find things to fight about for sure. Right. In a good faith and respectful manner, while trying to limit the amount of profanity that I say to respect Lauren's mother and the YouTube monetization gods. So, just shouting myself out. My name is Connor. I run a YouTube channel named Counterpoints. I'm currently at 22,000 subscribers, partially thanks to Warhammer 40,000 breakdowns. I know that might be a little bit science fiction and nerdy for your audience, but it is good violence, good fun, and I have a really good time doing it. So if you're into science fiction or action or violence, please come check out those breakdowns. Then also I do politics. I identify as centrist center right. If you're to the right of me, you're probably going to think I'm a filthy liberal, progressive commie, and I am dangerously to the right of Twitch politics to the point that I'm basically a fascist. So it's a tough world out there for centrists, but we'll get through it together. So yeah, I appreciate you. Come subscribe, come swing by. I do use a lot of profanity, but you'll get used to it.
Centricide. All right. Have a good one, Connor. It was great to chat.
Gonna come.
Yeah?
Centrists with a spine are going to come back after your ass. Right, I'm trying to give centrists a spine. It's not working, but we're trying.
We'll see about that one, bud. We'll see about that one. All right. Have a good night, Connor.
Gotcha. Bye.
Okie dokie. We will talk to Connor again in the future at some point. That's for show. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. We've had like a solid amount of people here. It's been awesome. Centrists rock. Okay, Andre, relax there. I'm going to go over a few of the super chats. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more if some of them bring up interesting conversation. But it's like midnight over there on the East Coast. Why are you still awake? I mean, actually, no, don't leave. Keep the viewer numbers up. Savrix says, we must all be aware not to let our boundaries of perception become barriers of perception that cannot be moved or modified willingly. That is very accurate. Oh man, I always get confused with how I organize. I've got 3 screens here, and I've got you guys on the furthest screen here. So kind of got you on 2. So that's why I'm looking so sideways. Clearly, I just need to put them all around me, and then I can do loops. Connor isn't bread tube. He showers regularly. Too true, old school. Thanks for the super chat. Chucky Boy said something that I think is trying to make me say an inappropriate word, so we're not going to do that. Mr. Tech, we need a truth ministry here in Canada too. Who would be the best candidate to head it? The problem with calling something a truth ministry is whenever something is called a truth ministry or like the fact checkers or something, they're always telling lies. So we need a better name for something that's going to like corroborate false stories, because whenever something is called truth ministry or Pravda or whatever, it's always nonsense. Hinkle sells Z shirts, by the way. That's I feel like that's just like his like internet persona he's taken on. Maybe I'll have to have him on and debate him. But maybe next week we'll get Jackson Hinkle and Connor on. That would be good. Tell Connor to fix his internet. Too true. Christian Valeris. He's going to need to do that before we do this Jackson Hinkle debate. If anyone knows this Jackson Hinkle guy, tell him to Twitter DM me. I'll go follow him if he has Twitter. By the way, there were several bombings in Russia which coincided with dips in Putin's ratings. One was announced by mistake days before it happened, says Physicality Channel. So generally saying that the Russian people don't support the bombings. Can you please tell him to say Kiev properly? Yeah, he was getting me to pronounce it Kiev as well. I feel like there's some people like to do, I've got this like super intellectual, edgy way of pronouncing things. If y'all follow this channel, you know, we just pronounce everything wrong. We don't discriminate. We don't try to sound smart. We just do everything wrong. Pronunciation-wise, anyways. We get the good stuff right. Ukrainians would not write "This is for the children" in Russian, nor would they kill their own. They didn't need any PR advantage after Bucha. Gotta pronounce that wrong, too. Physicality, you are like half the super chats. I very much appreciate your support. I think I read that one, though. Cleveland Steamer said, not far-fetched if the Russians... Oh, we read that. Gotta go back a bit. I was agnostic. This is Roman. He says, I was agnostic until I was born again. That's when I discovered that religions held me back because they don't stick to the Bible, and many create a Bible knockoff. I was agnostic until I was born again. I think what you're talking about, like religion and faith, can be defined as two different things. There are obviously churches that don't follow the Bible properly, and there are obviously churches that have some pretty messed up stuff in there. But that doesn't discount an entire faith, of course. I think I'm reading that correctly. Guns and Ethics says, we could have a multipolar world where nuclear powers expand until all borders contain nukes to prevent invasion. Instead, we funnel American taxes to Ukraine to destroy Russian tanks for security. Man, I just feel like people are too crazy. Like, if you had like 7,000 checks and balances for when those nukes were fired, sure, but I don't trust humans, man. Paul Walker says, Christianity accepts suffering. It teaches dealing with it, especially as an individual. Very true. Thunderstorm, all your lives you lived in a left-right cage. When you're ready to break free, sincerely, nationalism. I agree with that. I'm not as right-wing as people think I am. I'm right-wing, I'm conservative, but I have a lot of left-wing perspectives and a lot of perspectives that I sympathize with on the left, but just can't follow because of various moral or social reasons, but I completely understand them. I do think if I had a different moral system, I could be a leftist. I know that sounds insane. Maybe I'll do a video on it one day talking about it a little deeper, but yeah, I do think a lot of people live in a left-right cage, and it's not that simple. Thank you, Don Bino, for the $20. Paul Wooten, young man might use more respectful language when speaking with a woman. We need to get Connor on that. We got to fix his language and fix mine, in contrast. My brother embedded in the Ukrainian army, says Ian Penner, as a foreign volunteer. I know a fair bit about the situation on the ground if you want to know. Well, we are wrapping up right now, but I hope your brother's doing okay, man. Sean Giblin says, the denazification of Ukraine is a good thing. The fall of Mariupol is a great victory against Nazism. Well, we got both sides in the chat here. All right, we got a lot of pro-Ukraine people, and then we also have some people with Russian flags. So there we go. Ian Penners. I answered this one. The Dashing Rogue. Follow the money. It's all about the establishment of Eurasian Economic Union. Finlandization via oil and fuel control is the weapon that Russia will be using. Rowan with $20 again. What is a better term for radicals? Purple hairs, wokesters, statists. I look forward to watching videos of the teal drones attacking the Russian troops. Hi Ice. Lauren, did you ever see about interviewing Irish comedy writer Graham Linehan? He was a pioneer in defending women against the trans cult. I feel like I have heard of him before. I'll look into him a little more. Obviously, I'm looking for more guests to have on my Thursday night live streams. We'll build things up a bit, improve the quality, maybe get some graphics. I think I've mentioned to you guys before, I do have a stream deck that I need to set up so we can get things going real fancy, and I'll start to consider more guests. Meniolia 101 says, I saw your myth-informed debate with Destiny about lab leak hypothesis. I wish you pushed back more. All his points about gain-of-function research were wrong. Gain-of-function research is not useful and probably caused the pandemic. I myself would have to look into the gain-of-function research a bit more to feel comfortable debating Destiny. But yeah, obviously he's wrong about everything, of course. Archeon says, will this stream be able to be replayed? It should be. This is something I've done. I've put all of these streams, I put them on unlisted, but I put them in a public playlist. So if you go look at my playlist, you'll find my wonderful Walkman playlist, which is all of the old music I enjoy listening to. And then you'll see also one that just says VODs, VOD, video on demand, and it's all of these. So if you are here, you do like watching my live streams and you want to watch them later, you can watch them in my VODs playlist, which is public. Connor is Doom Guy, IRL, says Lucifer the Doberman. Oh, I think we did it. I think we've probably gotten a few more while I was reading these, so I'll just check those out. Oh yeah, just a few more from Sarvix. Sending some quotes. Leonardo da Vinci, knowledge is power. He is wrong. It's how we harness what we perceive as knowledge that would give said power. Feel free to use. Thank you, Sabrix. And his last one, placebo racism. A massive placebo effect spell. I don't know the context of that. Martian Moon. You helped me avoid traffic during the convoy by compromising your location. So just dropping in for a late thank you. I'm so glad I could help. Also, congrats for being a fellow British Columbiaite. Best place on the planet, my friend. Okay, Lauren, why do you sound so nerdy? Because I am a nerd. I grew up, I was like a mega dork. Hardcore dork. I just had like a bit of a glow up, so people think I'm not, and I learned how to speak a bit better, how to hide it. Unfortunately, a lot of my old cosplay photos still got leaked on the internet, so I couldn't totally cover up, couldn't totally scrub that part of my life. But when I take over power, I will scrub all of my nerdisms off the internet. And no one will ever find out ever again what a dork loser I was. All right. Oh, we got... Oh, man. Last comment here. Lauren, if you ever decide to be a leftist, you have the backing already set up. You're low-key the queen of the Taliban. Deep down, we kind of like you. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah. So good to know I have the backing of a terror organization. Love that. All right, guys. Have a good night. It was so lovely to talk to you all. So lovely to chat with Connor. Let me know who I should have next week. I might have Connor on for a bit. We'll see if we can get Jackson Hinkle or Haz or someone to do a bit of a fun, spicy debate. But yeah, thanks all for showing up. I will chat to you all next time.